Hey guys, it's Raven. I'm back this week. I finally have a voice, and if you'll excuse me, I have a new app that I'm using to stream. I'm trying to stream today to both Facebook and YouTube, both of them at the same time. So I'm trying to get used to this app. So excuse me if there's a little hiccups. But if everybody could today, anybody who's watching, if you could post a comment or something just to make sure, and then post it, like tell me which platform you're on, just so I know whether or not people on Facebook and YouTube are both seeing me. But anyway, sorry, I apologize for last week. I had no voice but to speak of whatsoever. It was so bad that my dog didn't even recognize me. Every time I spoke, he would scream because he's like, who is this person? So today I can actually speak. I still don't sound great, but I can actually speak. So let's go ahead and get started. And let's see, live viewer comments can show up here. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the equinox, which is actually happening today. So what does that mean for you and for anybody else? Let's talk about that. So first of all, let's look at what's actually physically happening during an equinox. So an equinox is a time of the year where we have a balance, right? We have 12 days of daylight and 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of nighttime. So you're kind of sitting in a situation where there's a balance between those two. So then as we move from this point on, the days are going to grow, and then it's going to culminate in the summer solstice, where you have the longest day of the year. And then the days are going to shrink. You're going to have this fall equinox, which is another day of balance. And then it's going to continue to shrink all the way up until you get to Yule, where you have the longest night of the year. So the reason why we celebrate this, it's basically 1/4 of our trip around the sun is complete. So this is what we're celebrating, and we're celebrating a time of balance. So that is one part of the spring equinox. What is the second part of our spring equinox that we're going to be celebrating, right? So a second part of spring equinox is, just think about if you were a farmer, what are you doing right now? So the farmer right now is planting. So this is a time for renewal. It's a time for new beginnings. It's a time for new growth. It's a time for all of those things. So how can you take advantage of this equinox energy in your own daily practice? So this is really going to be the main thing we're going to be talking about. How do we take advantage of that? So there's a few different ways to do that. Number one is look at what's going on in your life right now. So do you have something that you're getting ready to start? So are you starting a new business? Are you starting a new program in school? Are you moving and starting a new life somewhere? Are you starting a new career? Are you starting a new diet plan, a new exercise plan? So what are the things in your life that you are just getting going in? So those are the things that you really want to highlight during this season, because those are the things that the energy is going to be really in your corner to help you out. So you can do a lot of work during this time to just kind of give you that boost of get up and go to get things done. And then also to tell the universe, hey, I'm getting ready to plant a bunch of stuff. You're not a farmer, so you're planting what? Your projects, right? And if you are a farmer, great. You can also do some spell work today to bring about great farming for you. So basically you can, when you cast your spell in the equinox and when you celebrate the equinox, you want to connect to that energy personally. So how do you do that, right? So this is an energy of new beginnings going on everywhere. The way that we connect to that energy personally is by looking at what are the new beginnings in our lives, like we just talked about. So you're going to pick one new beginning that's going on in your life right now. That's going to be your personal connection to the energy of the Sabbath. And so this is that gives you an in of connecting to that energy and saying, okay, the whole earth is re-beginning now, right? It's starting with new life. I am beginning. So let's assume I'm starting a new exercise plan. So that's going to be my new beginning. So that's my example. So my new beginning, while the earth is doing all of this, the way that I'm connected to that energy is my new beginning and my new exercise plan, right? So what would I do during an equinox celebration? to improve that. So you can say, you know, I'm going to make sure that I have the right outfits. I'm going to make sure that I set a time of day that I'm least likely to not go or to talk myself out of it. So you get all of the things that you want to do lined up. And then you are going to put down the way that I do it. You're going to put down on a list. Here's a list of all the things that I need to do to get my new beginning going, right? And then it can be a very simple spell where you then have a candle. And for new beginnings, I generally like to use a yellow candle or a white candle. Because yellow candle is kind of like a road opener kind of a thing. And it really kind of opens the pathway for you to move forward in something. So you definitely want to use something like that. But if you decide that you're going to use another different color candle, that's fine if you want to do something that's more appropriate. So if you're doing for exercising, for example, you could also use an orange candle, or you could use a red candle, which is to kind of give you that get up and go energy, right? So you're going to light your candle. You have all of the things that you are beginning. You light your incense. You take your paper that you wrote down all of the new beginnings that you have. You're going to pass that paper through the incense, and then you are going to light it from the flame of the candle, and you're going to put it in a fireproof container and let it go. And what does that actually do? What is the mechanics happening behind that spell? So what's happening now is you put your energy, you poured your energy and vibration into it, right? So the other thing that I like to do is before I burn the paper, I read it out loud, because not only did I write down and put the energy that way, once I'm reading it, I'm putting that vibration out into the world, right? For manifestation. I'm saying, this is what I want to do. So I write it down, I pick up my paper, I read it, and then I'm going to burn it with a candle flame, and I'm going to let it burn that way. And then you can just let the candle burn all the way down. So that is a way that you can connect with that energy if you have a specific goal in mind. There's another way that you can connect with that energy. So let's say that you feel stuck. You feel like I'm not, I've been trying these different things. Nothing's really sticking. Nothing's really catching my interest. And I just feel like I need something different. So what is that going to look like if you want to do work for yourself in that way during the equinox? So what you would do is you would then be asking the universe for kind of a shakeup and say, I'm looking to grow in a different direction. I'm looking for personal growth, to find something that I can start implementing in my life, something that I can start following, something that I can start doing for myself, something that I can maybe get myself motivated to get up and do things. So this is basically what you're looking for, right? You don't have anything specific in mind that you want to work with, but you're just looking for the universe to give you some of that spring energy to kind of bring your life into focus a little bit, and to kind of give you some new ideas of what are some of the things that you could possibly do, right? So what are we looking at that point? So at that point, what we're going to be looking at is you want to, same thing, you're going to light yourself a candle. And once again, my preference for doing any kind of work in the spring is always going to be a yellow candle, because it's about new growth, new beginnings. And once again, yellow is the road opening for me, at least. You can pick something that's more appropriate for you. If you feel called to a different color, you can. But yellow tends to be what I go for during that time. So you're going to light your candle. And then what I want you to do is you're going to do a meditation, to where you are going to go into a meditative state. You're kind of going to do your own little miniature guided journey. And you're going to ask for a guide to come and meet you on this journey, to kind of give you some insights as to what am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? Where am I going to go? That is one option that you can do. You can light your candle and go into a meditative state and do that, and try to connect with the energy of new beginnings that way, right? The other way that you can do it is you can do it the same way with the piece of paper that we did the previous one for exercise, right? So you can write down in your piece of paper, instead of writing, since you don't have anything specific, what you're trying to bring to yourself at this point is, what are the things that I'm searching for? I want to feel excited about something. I want to feel empowered. I want to feel like I'm looking forward to something. So those are the things you want to bring into your life, right? So don't focus on the things you want to get rid of. You don't want to, one of the things that people do a lot of the times is they try to do spell work that's going to be one spell at the same time with different kinds of energy, right? One spell that's going to be bringing something to you and at the same time releasing other things. You're splitting your focus. And at that point, none of those are really going to get enough energy. So you want to make sure that you focus on, we're looking at new beginnings. What are the new beginnings that I'm looking for? Don't focus on the things I'm trying to get rid of, right? So what are the things I'm looking for to get started? So in this case, I don't have a plan, so I'm looking to get, motivated for something, or maybe I'm just looking for direction, and I'm looking for, what is my path? What is the way that I need to go, right? And you can write all of that in a piece of paper. The same way that we did the other spell. You're going to light your candle. You're going to read it out loud. You're going to burn the paper. Here's another step you can add at that point is you can then pull a deck of cards, run the cards through the incense smoke first, put your intent, shuffle it real good, put your intent in the cards of what you wrote on the piece of paper, and then say, I want guidance and I want answers, and then pull yourself 3 cards. And what you're doing in pulling yourself 3 cards, you're asking the universe, give me 3 clues or ideas or 3 avenues that I can explore to find these things that I'm looking for. So once you pull out your spread of these 3 cards, then you go through each and every one of them and see from each card what fits in your life of what's going on right now, right? So a lot of times when we feel discouraged, let's say you started a new project, you said, I'm going to start this business and it's going to be great. And I'm going to, move forward with it. And maybe that was your thought 6 months ago. And now you're 6 months into it and you're going, this is not going anywhere. I'm not enjoying it as much as I thought I would. I feel like I'm stuck. Maybe this isn't the right thing for me, right? I'm kind of, whatever. So then you pull your cards and you're going to look, and maybe one of the cards is going to say, something to do with business. So that means that maybe you need to stay engaged in that and hope that as it moves forward, it's going to eventually give you, get you to where you need to go, right? Or maybe no business cards come. So if no business cards come, then for you, that's validation. Maybe that's not the way I needed to go. Maybe there's a different place for me to go. And then as you find one card that you really connect with, then you can continue asking questions and continue pulling more cards under that. So say, okay, so this is what I'm thinking. Is this what I'm thinking? Is this kind of the right direction? Pull another card to get some clarification. Now, keep in mind, when you're pulling these cards, it's not like you're going to be pulling them and they're going to tell you exactly what you want to hear, right? It's going to say, yes, absolutely, you need to take this business and do this. It's not going to say that, obviously. The cards are going to be very kind of generic. So you have to kind of start looking for keywords and feelings as you look at the card. And for me, what I notice is, because primarily I read by intuition, when you look at the card, before you even look at the meaning of the card, look at the card and what is the feeling you get from that card. So if you get a card that looks very dark, that maybe you look at it, you go, I don't get a good feeling from that card. Just from the imagery, right? Don't look at, this is the 2 of Swords or whatever. I recommend using oracle decks for this so that your tarot doesn't override your meanings. So look at that card and say, what kind of feeling am I getting from this card? So it looks very positive, very airy, very awesome. So this is definitely a yes. I pull another card, it looks very dark, very kind of oppressive, maybe like things aren't working out, then maybe that would be a no, right? So when you're reading a card, when you're asking the universe a question and you're using a deck like this to be able to validate some of the questions that you have, a good way that you can do that is to say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and ask my question. I'm going to go ahead and pull the cards, and you can look at the card and see what feeling it gives you, and you have the book that's going to give you the meaning, right? So you've got 2 ways to interpret that card as you're going through. Now, keep in mind, this is a caveat, right? It is very difficult a lot of times for you to interpret things for yourself. So a lot of times what I do is, so for example, I'm looking at a card. I don't have any cards that I brought here with me today. Oh, yes, I do. Hold on one second. I'm going to pull this, so that way I can give you guys an idea of it. I should have planned better and had cards in front of me. But so let's say this card here that I'm pulling is the Celtic astrology deck. So let's say you shuffle your deck and you say, I'm pulling a card, maybe it is my business. It says, yes, get started with your business, move forward. So I'm like, okay, I'm looking for clarification. So I'm going to pull a card, and then this is the card that I pull, right? So let's assume that this is the card that I pull. So this card here is a seahorse. It's a woman kind of floating around. And to me, without even looking at the meaning of this card, To me, what does it look like? It looks like she's kind of having a conversation with the seahorse. She's not actively doing anything, but she's just holding him and she's looking at him like she's expecting an answer or she's having a conversation, right? So when I'm looking at this card, as I'm trying to interpret, first of all, this card has a good feeling to it. It doesn't look like there's anything negative that's happening. It doesn't look scary. It doesn't look like she's being eaten by the seahorse or the seahorse is overpowering her. But it does look like she's not taking any action either. She's just sitting there talking to the seahorse. So maybe one of the things that this card can mean is if you're talking about a business that's not moving forward, you maybe need to start communicating better, looking at the people around you that may have the resources to help you, that maybe you're not reaching out. Maybe you're trying to do this all by yourself. And this card is saying, look, you got some support. There's somebody out there just waiting for you to sit down and have that conversation that's going to support you. So let's say you pull, I'm going to do just a couple so you guys can get an idea of how you would interpret these cards by doing it that way. It looks like she's listening and maybe nurturing. Absolutely. It does look like she's listening and maybe nurturing to it. So let's say this is another one that I just pulled, right? So let's say this is the card you get. It's a snake, right? And for some people, snakes are scary. So if you pull this card and you go, ooh, she's got all these snakes. For you, in this case, it is not a positive card. So for you, at this case, whatever question you ask, for you, this is probably going to be a no. So for me, snake is one of the totems I work with. I love snakes. I have a snake at home. So for me, this means basically get down, think about where snakes live and what snakes do, right? They're right there on the ground, nose to the grindstone, basically. They don't have the ability to look at things from up here. So maybe what does this mean is that I'm looking at this project that I'm doing. I'm trying to plan too much at once, get too much of an image up top here, which makes it very, very difficult. So instead of doing that, don't I just focus on the task at hand? Let me just focus on the things that are in front of me. I have limited amounts of energy. Let me see what I can do right now. Maybe the big planning that I'm trying to do to make this big overarching thing isn't working. So maybe I need to just focus on the little tasks and get those things done because they're going to support me in my bigger tasks, right? So those are some examples. Let's do one more just so you guys can kind of get an idea. So here's another card that I pulled, Ash the Enchanter. So this card is interesting, right? And so you look at this card, he's playing the flute and he's got a bunch of little critters following him. So for me, this card speaks of leadership. It speaks about bringing people with you somewhere. It speaks about kind of charting your own course that maybe people are going to follow. It also, to me, speaks of support. You're not alone in your path. You have other people. You may be alone leading the path, but you have other people behind you. There's power in community, right? So whereas you had the, did I put that card back? Oh, crap. Let me see what I did with it. So yeah, so if you're looking at, so what would be the difference between this card here? Man, this is all backwards. So for me, it's difficult because I don't know which way I'm going. So what would be the difference between this card here, of having a lot of people behind you in community, as opposed to this card here, having one person behind you? So this, to me, I would interpret is there's one person that's in my life that's going to help me reach out. There is one resource out there that I haven't tapped yet. Who in my life can I reach out to that's going to help me? This talks about working in community. Maybe it's not a matter of reaching out to one person. Maybe it's a matter of doing more marketing, putting the word out there for you, for where you are, what you're doing. Maybe not enough people are hearing the music that you're playing to follow you in your tune, right? So maybe those are some of the things that you need to do to move your business forward, to move forward what you want to do. So this is a simple way that you can do a reading. And if you'll notice, this is a brand new deck I got. I didn't even open the book. So this is going to be on top of what you saw this. Now you can open the book and get more information. But a lot of times in these decks, it's really interesting for you to just pull the cards and see, what does the imagery tell you? What does it speak to? Trisha said, taking control. And yes, that could be one of the things. I am taking control of my life again. Maybe all these people behind me in that card. Let me see if I have that card still. maybe I had all of the support before, but they were kind of all running in different directions, right? So maybe it's up to me to get everybody on the same page. It's up to me to get everything together. So this is where you would look at and say, okay, what is my situation right now that I'm doing? What am I actually trying to accomplish? And then you would look at this card and say, okay, this applies to me in the sense that I do have a lot of people involved and I do feel that they're not communicating very well. Or maybe for you, it's like, I don't have anybody involved with me. Maybe this is a sign that you need to have more people involved with you, that you can't do this by yourself. So there's a lot of different ways that you can read this. So the key to tapping in to the energy of a Sabbath when we're doing this kind of work is for you to connect to that energy on a personal level, because it's interesting. I mean, you can look at the Sabbath and go, yay, things are growing, the earth, life is coming back to earth, yay, awesome, that's great, but that is not a personal connection for you. So for us, we all have different personal connections in different ways. That would be a way to incorporate all of this to be able to use our personal experiences as a conduit to tap into that energy that is applying for you right now. So today is actually the equinox. It's not yesterday. I think on the community, wild community, I posted that it was yesterday, but it's not. It's actually today is the equinox. And so this is a time that you can tap into that energy. You can either take a project that you are already working on and help it to move forward even more, or you can take something that if you're feeling stagnant, that you're not moving forward, and connect in that way and say to the universe, I need some new growth in my life right now. I need to start blooming. I need things to start happening. So then that's how you're going to connect. But that's the key. Every time you do any kind of work, any kind of Sabbath work with a specific energy that the planet is holding for you at that moment, the way you connect to that energy is by personalizing it, is by understanding, how does this connect to me on a personal level? How can I take this energy and apply it to my life the way that it's going? And that's that connection that allows you to say, okay, the minute you connect that way, now that energy is available to you and you can reach in there and do whatever it is that you need with it. So there's a lot of things you can do for the Sabbath tonight. I highly recommend, if you do have a project or something that you want to work on, that you want to grow, remember that energy focus is important, right? If you have 5 things in the fire, your energy is split in 5 ways, which means you're not going to get any of them done. So what I normally do, I pick one project a year that's going to be my big project. And then I normally will pick a secondary project that will be something separate that I'm doing, right? So then you focus all of your energy, most of your energy, I would say 80% of your energy in the primary project to make sure it moves forward, and then 20% of your energy on your secondary project to make sure that it stays going. So it's always important when you're working through the Sabbaths. And the thing is, think about the life cycle of things in our planet, right? Our planet provides us this energy every single month. It provides whatever the planet is providing to the plants and to the animals. That energy comes back to you, and you can tap into it. Even though you're not a plant, you can tap into it in the same way and bring things in for your life to improve your life a little bit more. So there's different ways that you can do that. So so what I normally do is like to pick one major project a year, and then every Sabbath I look at what energy is out there, and then I tap into that energy. I connect it to the project I'm working on and say, what is the phase that I'm working on, right? So if you look at, we had the Sabbath of Imbolc. That was a time of purification, of getting ready, right? The earth is getting ready for the new growth that's coming. So at that time, what would I do? I had my project that I planned out in the winter time, because that's our planning time. So you sit down in December, you say, what is your goal for this year? So this is my goal. This is what I'm going to do. You write out you say, this is my plan. So then what happens in February when Imbolc hits, it is the time to clear out everything that could possibly be an obstacle for your plan getting off the ground. And then once you move past that, then you move on to the next step of your plan, which may be kind of moving into, now here in Ostara is going to be actually starting to take the steps to move forward. I'm actually starting to do the work to make this be a reality. So what are you going to celebrate in Beltane, right? Beltane is the end of the planting season. That means that I have already done all of the initial work I needed. And now it's just a matter of nose to the grindstone. It's a matter of doing all the prep work is done. And now it's a matter of actually moving forward. And then what are you going to have coming for you in the summer? It's going to be kind of like a refocusing of your energy, making sure you stay focused, stay on track. The summer solstice is giving us all this beautiful energy for us to take in and really feel empowered and feel like we can kind of take on the world. That's what you're tapping into. And then you come to your first harvest festival in August 2nd. What are you going to celebrate during that time? This should be the first time that you start seeing the very first fruits of your labor. So all the work you put in, from the planning to the removing obstacles, to the prep work, to the beginning of the actual physical work, come August 2nd, you should be seeing some kind of reward for the work that you did. If you're not seeing it yet, the universe gives you another option, right? Now you got from August 2nd, you've got to September the 21st to really kind of say, okay, how do I need to tweak this to make sure that my big harvest, because that's our big harvest, is September the 21st, the fall equinox, that I have a great harvest. So you can still tweak it to make sure you harvest everything that you can. And then you come back to the third festival, which is going to be Samhain. What would you be doing at that time? So at that time, you're saying you're looking back to what you've accomplished. Hopefully you've reaped all of the rewards. This is where you're going to be giving thanks to the universe, to your ancestors who helped you, to all the spirits that helped you. The veil is at its thinnest. You can reach out and connect to all of your spirit helpers to help you, that helped you through the year, giving thanks. And then what happens? You go into a hibernation state again for the winter time to plan what is next year going to bring out to me. And that is the cycle, right? So we are in the spring equinox today. So for today, our cycle is all the prep work for our new project. So we've removed obstacles in Imbolc. Now we're here at the Sabbath. What is the prep work that I need to do? So hopefully that gives you guys a few different ways to connect with the energy of the Sabbath and to help you to move your projects forward. So if I'm right, this has streamed to both Facebook and YouTube. So if this worked, I'm going to check once we're done. Then going forward, The Witch's Inn is always going to stream to both of those platforms. I try to get one that would include Instagram too, but it's really hard because Instagram has all kinds of requirements because of the size of the video. So I'm probably not going to be able to do that on Instagram, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it on Facebook and YouTube. At least that reaches a little bit, bigger audience. I want you guys to have options when you watch this of where it is that you choose to watch it. And that's it. So if anybody has any questions whatsoever, feel free to message me. You can message me on Facebook. You can message me on Instagram. You can message me in the Wild community. You can make a post in the Wild community. Those of you who have not joined it yet, it's wild, WYLD, community.com. It's free to join. We do a free chakra balancing every month. That's my gift to the community. And there's a lot of other things going on there, different posts, different events that you can choose to participate in throughout the month. Don't forget, tomorrow we will have a live, which we didn't last week because once again, my voice was gone, but we will have a live tomorrow. And we're going to be talking about all kinds of things for new beginnings, like what are some of the crystals that you can use, some of the other things that you can use to just basically get your spring started in a good way. So I hope everybody has a fantastic Sabbath today, and I hope you all take advantage of this fantastic energy. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.